Alas, for so long I have been victimized by ignorance. Luckily I have discovered that which robbed me of self-knowledge. And it's the mind that did this cognitive process. I shall never more be the victim of ignorance, even as the cloud sitting on top of a hill does not belong to the hill. Though I seem to be associated with sorrow, I am independent of it. In the absence of self-knowledge, there arose ego sense, but now I am free of ego sense. He's identifying with his own consciousness, which is infinite in nature, pure and independent, as it said earlier. Let the body, the senses, and so on, be or perish. I have nothing to do with them. The senses, the eyes, etc., exist in order to come into contact with their own objects for their own sake. Who is the I that is deluded into thinking, this is I, or I see, etc.? These eyes, etc., see or experience their objects naturally, without being impelled to do so by previous conditioning. Hence, if actions are performed spontaneously without mental conditioning, their experience will be pure and free from memories of past happiness or unhappiness. Hence, so senses perform your functions without being hampered by memory. This memory or mental conditioning is not a fact in truth. It is non-different from and not independent of the infinite consciousness. It can therefore be easily dispelled merely by not reviving it in consciousness. Hence, O mind, abandon this perception of diversity and realize the unreality of your own independence from the infinite consciousness. That is liberation. Uddalaka seems to be almost subscribing to some notion of perception here. Whether he is or not, he's come to the right conclusion, and that's just to let whatever's happening happen without forming notions about it. The I is only notional, the senses are notional. We've got this story whereby we think we experience an external world. We think that there's me here, a world out there, and there's this process going on called the sensory process, whereby I see things, I hear things, and all the rest of it. All we can actually say is there are visual aspects to what is going on, there are sonic aspects to what is going on, and so on. And then we come up with stories about the eye and the ear and so on, which turn these phenomena into electrical signals, which go somewhere into some mysterious part of our brain, and somehow what is out there has been replicated in my head from these electrical signals. I don't know about you, but I find that story incredibly far-fetched, and yet it's, as far as I know, it's a scientific understanding. There's visual experiencing going on. There's what we can call visual experiencing and sonic experiencing, and these are just subdivisions of experiencing. And when we start asking questions about it, well, that's when we get caught up in the cognitive process and we start coming up with theories about things. And that takes us away from the experiencing. The experiencing, let's just take the visual aspect, it's all happening here, just as sound is happening here as well. And what we do is we interpret that, or we try and provide some theory, some framework for what's happening so that we can talk about it. But it's just a theoretical framework which we can use to describe things. It's not actually what's going on. It's what we think is going on. But what we think is going on is quite separate from what is actually going on. So this is what Uddalaka was saying. This is what he was exploring. Perception here. You say, I see something, I'm seeing this, I hear that, as if I'm doing something. All we can say is there's seeing going on, if we wish to say something. There is hearing going on. There is experiencing going on. But we've got this way of talking which seems to give me some kind of personal responsibility for it. And this is what he's saying: drop interpretation based on previous conditioning, based on memory. Just allow the visual experiencing to happen without interpreting it. Allow the sonic experience, the oral experiencing to happen, and also the gustatory or taste experience and so on. We've got stuff going on. We've got feelings going on, we've got emotions going on, sensations which we identify with the body. But we don't need to identify with the body, just look at what's going on. And when you start doing this, you actually become aware of so much more. When you stop explaining away things like saying, that's a sensation in the body, or I'm seeing that candle over there. When you stop doing that and just bring your awareness back to itself, and within that awareness know all the stuff that's going on, then it's a great voyage of discovery. Eckhart Tolle talks about the subtle body, or some kind of inner body, which is vibrant and full of energy. You can get in touch with that kind of thing. So if you're ever doing a meditation, and this is a meditation you can do, well, you don't have to be shutting your eyes to do this, you can do this at any time. But if you like to sit in meditation, then this is what you can do. Look at what's going on, and more importantly, look at what's looking.